And when the doctor saw me, he, no joke, literally was in his chair talking to her and literally 180 whipped around and looked at me and said, "You'll be dead in a year if you don't do something as well."
If you want to know what losing 180 pounds will do for your business, for your real estate business, for your life, you're going to want to tune into this show today. Today, we have Chad King, the broker of 615 Property Investment, here with us. And Chad has had an amazing transformation over the last 12 to 24 months. And we're going to talk all about how he's lost a massive amount of weight, how his business is going incredibly well since then, and talk about all the changes and how you can actually learn from this and be inspired. And so, Chad, thanks for coming on, brother. Good to see you.
Thank you very much for having me.
So, man, amazing. Like, what a story. Like, you just showed me these pictures. And so we'll put one up here. But you were at your top of your weight. You were how much?
397.
397 pounds. And how long ago was that?
It'll be, it's roughly about 28, 30 months, somewhere around
28 or
2.5 years.
Oh my
2.5 years
gosh.
ago.
So what propelled you to do this in the beginning? Like, what made you say, hey, this is, cause it's hard, right?
I would say the circle of people that I have around me, my wife and I are very blessed. She's in real estate as well. The core group that we have around us, we're so blessed that they care so much about us. And so I had people that were constantly talking to me out of fear for my life,
Oh, wow.
in all honesty. And truth be told, I had the same feelings. There were many times that, I just celebrated my 50th birthday this past November. And there were many times leading up to the time that I made the choice that I made. I really wondered if I would even be around to celebrate my 50th birthday.
Wow.
And that's gut-wrenchingly the truest statement that I could ever make.
Yeah.
And at some point you start to hear them. And really the way that it happened for me was my wife made the decision first to go do hers because she had it done as well.
Mhm.
And I was going to go as a support. And I tried to stay away from the doctor. I did the routine kind of stuff. And being as big as I was relatively healthy for that size. I mean, I didn't have a lot of huge things that I had to experience or detrimental kind of things, but I was going with her to be a support for her journey. And when the doctor saw me, he, no joke, literally was in his chair talking to her and literally 180 whipped around and looked at me and said, "You'll be dead in a year if you don't do something as well."
What was that like for you to hear that?
Very sobering. I mean, when you feel something within yourself and you know that it's a possibility, but then you have a medical professional that's what they do for a living, and they're around people that they see that all the time. And just by looking at me, I mean, I was in the room for maybe 15 or 20 minutes while he was talking to my wife, and just for him to just physically see me, it's very sobering. I mean, it's a very eye-opening kind of statement to hear
Right.
him say that to you, and enough to where, because I felt the way that I felt, that it got my attention.
Right.
And I obviously, we both left there with appointments to have the surgery done at that point.
So you say the surgery. Tell people what you mean by that and what that's like.
So we both had something done called gastric sleeve, where they physically go in and they remove half of your stomach. In my opinion, with all of the research that my wife had done and then we did together, probably was the safest alternative for us. But it was also one that kind of put us in a position to where we didn't have a choice. It was going to ensure that we did what we needed to do. And then beyond that, it was also the commitment by both of us that we were going to do everything that the doctor told us to do to a T. And so we made that commitment to each other, and we got to do it together. And I think the accountability of having a partner, having someone doing it together, and also us being husband and wife, the financial commitment that we made to pay for it, all of those things led up to us making sure that we took full advantage of what we were going to do.
So what was your recovery like?
Recovery I was very surprised. I watched my wife first, and then I went second. And really, and other than just a little bit of post-surgery, like with the anesthesia and stuff like that, and kind of feeling a little bit lousy, had about a week of being really slow and
Mhm.
taking it very easy. But other than that, the diet that we had to follow, was sharing earlier that, it is pretty restrictive in the beginning, but that passes very fast. And you start to work your way into being able to eat what will become normal for you. And then you spend about a year eating that way and staying on top of it. But then once you get past a year, you're back to a point to where you can, within reason, you can make good, smart choices and
Right.
and eat a healthy diet to be able to live the rest of your life. So it's a true lifestyle change.
So this surgery is more common now, is
It
it
is
not?
very
So,
much,
I
yeah.
mean, did you know other people, or what was the process of your decision making to go through that,
Well,
for you and your wife?
the doctor that we chose, we obviously went out and researched his reviews and researched a lot of people. Got online, looked at the support groups and things that were out there, and listened to what they said their experience had been. And then as a result of us making the choice that we made and choosing that, just since then, between my wife and I, we've probably also sent about 10 or 12 people to him as well that have also had the surgery and had
Mhm.
wonderful results. And when we are asked to give a referral to him, the one thing that my wife and I both say is that we will give you the referral as long as you will promise us that you will do every single thing that he tells you to do.
Right.
Don't shortchange, don't shortcut, do exactly what you're supposed to do because that's how you get the best results.
It sounds like you guys are pretty committed.
Very, very. We're committed that we're going to be like this for the rest of our lives. We want to live a very long time, and with our children the ages that they are now, we're venturing into becoming, getting to that point of where being grandparents won't be too far down the road, and
Mhm.
we want to be those young, energetic, capable grandparents to take the grandkids out and do a lot of stuff with them and
Yeah.
spend a lot of time with them. So
So how are things? You've been in real estate for a long time,
10 years.
10 years, and so clearly for how many years you were operating at this another person almost attached to you in terms of weight. And so what was that like? I mean, because real estate, I mean, you're getting in and out of cars, you're showing homes. I mean, there's some activity, right? There's some
Yeah.
physical activity involved. I mean, you got the hot and in the summer and all of that sort of stuff. What was that like for you compared to like what now?
I, you know, I don't know how I did it. I mean,
I was gonna say.
by the grace of God, I was able to survive and do. I mean, I've always been that person. My parents taught me very early on a very hard, distinct work ethic. I grew up with that in a working family. Nobody was going to outwork me. If I'm being honest, looking back on it now, I was miserable. I felt
You felt
horrible.
terrible.
I felt
Yeah.
horrible, but I just kept pushing and plugging away. And so I sit where I sit now, and I think, if I had made that decision then to do what I did, what could have been like, what would that first
Mhm.
7, 8 years have been like, and what would I have been able to accomplish, and I have people in my life that, they do believe in me so much that they will tell me on a regular basis, like you're one of the best real estate agents that I know. And, you have so much potential. And I would hear that over and over and over again, but it just hadn't clicked here,
Right.
and I did well. I mean, I did very, very well that first 7 or 8 years, and nothing to sneeze at and nothing to be ashamed of, and had great production and sustained. But, I do think back now, what could I have done? What kind
Right.
of difference could I have made? And how many more people could I have
Helped.
helped and served if I had made that decision back then and done it? But the thing of it is that I didn't really know about those options at that point,
Mhm.
and I had tried. I'd spent most of my life trying to
Yes.
battle. I'd battled that
Right.
that weight problem most of my life, and just wasn't capable of doing it on my own.
What things had you tried? Like, what did you
Oh, I mean, I played football up until my freshman year of college. Whenever I got
I'm guessing
hurt,
you were a lineman?
I was.
You might be a
Absolutely.
safety now or something.
Absolutely, I was a lineman, and, being an athlete, trying you knew or I knew what to do and the right things to do, but it's also making those conscious decisions of the things that are better over here that you'd
Yeah.
like to engage in. Um, and you just don't make the choice to do the right thing. But trying to work out, and there was a point in my life where I wasn't always that size. Even after my wife and I got married and had kids, there was a point in time where I ran 10 miles a day, and I had those periods of time where I was in
This is before the weight gain.
before the weight gain, where I would have periods of time where I was in pretty decent health and on the smaller end of things. But just life gets you and you start getting busy and your career's taking off and all those stresses and everything that's happening, and you are trying to raise a family, and you just get to the point to where you kind of give up, I guess, a little bit, and you put yourself last, and you don't always make the best decisions health wise for yourself. And then before you know it, it's spiraled out of control. And that's where I found myself in 2021.
So fast forward today, I mean, your stomach's smaller. How does that, if you go out to eat, how does this affect you, or does it? I mean, talk about that.
No, I mean, I can do just anything. Like you and I could go out to lunch right now and I could choose to eat the exact same things that you would eat. It's all about making that conscious, healthy choice. I just can't eat as much. So routinely, my wife and I, we're cheap dates. So when we go out, we're usually splitting something amongst ourselves, and we're taking a to-go box home. And so it's been great on the pocketbook whenever we do those kind of things. And so that's really it. I mean, it's really just, it's the amount. I can't eat near what anyone else would sit down and eat as a normal meal.
So how much, I mean, I'm assuming your grocery bill is quite a bit cheaper.
Very much so.
Right?
And, getting 3 boys out of the house helps with that as well, too.
Right,
so that's between those two things. Yeah, we spend a lot less on the groceries.
Wow. So, do you prefer to eat at home or do you prefer to eat out?
It really doesn't. It doesn't really matter to me. I mean, my wife and I, we are homebodies now that we're both older and starting to venture towards the empty nester, and so we do enjoy being at home. We have 3 French bulldogs that are our life now, and those are our babies. And
awesome.
We have 2 daughters left at home, but they're pretty self-sufficient, and so we eat at home most often. But with our career, with activities and events and different things, we are out and about quite a bit. That's probably been one of the biggest things that has changed for me, if I were being honest, is I was almost kind of like a recluse when I wasn't working. I didn't want to go out because I was ashamed and I didn't like how I looked and didn't feel comfortable. And now, like, I want to go out all the time, and I have way more energy and love being around people, because that's who I'm at the end of the day, is that my career has been built on, I don't want to say I don't care about the production and the statistics and all of that, because I know that's all a part of our career to get attention, but I'm truly in it for the people that I get to serve and work with. So it's always about my clients, and I love every minute now because I feel so energized to actually get out and go spend time with them and get to go and make dreams come true for them. And so I love getting out and about. So, if I'm out and about, I'll go have a meal, but I also don't object to having those times at home and eating at home as well. So,
well, psychologically, I mean, what I hear you saying is, I mean, there's almost like a guard that's dropped down, or more confidence, because, I mean, you're a different person. I mean, so, I mean, I would assume, talk about that a little bit. Like, what was it like for you to kind of be this almost 400 pounds, and then you're out, but you're in a job, in a career where you're required to, interact and socialize and, show people homes, getting in and out of cars and things like this, right?
Yeah.
And then maybe traveling, planes and stuff like that, and
it was
tight seats, and then all of a sudden now you're, when you lose all the weight, it sounds like it was a huge impact on your psyche.
Yeah.
In a positive way.
The thing, when I look back on it now, it's really, it's more sad on my part, not for those, because people would get to know me. And I think a lot of people would look past the exterior once they would get to know me. But the reality of the situation is, in the business that we're in, people do make judgments when they first see you. And that's just
probably true. Yeah.
It's just a reality. And I kept hearing that and hearing that and hearing that. And I didn't want it to be true, but I know that probably was the case. But thank goodness people would give me, they would give me the benefit of the doubt and they would get to know me as a person and didn't necessarily judge me so much on what I was looking like. But internally for myself, I judge myself. And I was very ashamed of what I looked like. I was a lot of shame, a lot of that I let myself get to that point. I should be stronger than that. I should be able to do more about it. And it was basically telling the whole world that this is who I really am as a person. And then I'm this fake over here, that's trying, whenever the reality is my wife and I joke about it now is the man that she met the first time and fell in love with is who I am now because, that's who she met the very first time.
Full cycle.
And, the people that I was around in college and when she first met me and all those things, like this is who I really am. And the honest truth is my kids are just now getting to see who that real person is. Everybody that I've been around the last 10, 11 years of my life, even people that I've known in the 24, 25 years we've lived in Middle Tennessee that have known me that long, like none of them really knew that's who I was and so it's literally like this brand new person has come out, but I know in myself, that's who I always was. Like that's who was always inside of me and who I really was the entire time. It was just shoved down inside of a very obese, overweight, unhealthy person.
Wow. So you were with Ben Wilson, Team Wilson for many years. And then, but now how did 615 Property Investment, how did that come about? And this is a joint venture with you and Ben, correct?
That is correct. Yeah. So when we had the privilege of coming on with Ben back in 2013 and, 2014. I started in 2013. 2014, we started with Ben. So I grew up a contractor's kid. So my dad always had, I think, dreams of me taking over the company and doing all that. And I didn't want to swing a hammer. I went to college. I got a degree, actually got 2 degrees. But I'm very thankful now that he taught me begrudgingly, but he taught me everything that he taught me growing up because I learned all of that. So once I got into real estate, it was just like this natural migration toward me understanding the investments part of it. And, there's not a whole lot of real estate agents that want to venture into that because it can be very difficult and a little intimidating. And you've got to understand that part of it or have a desire to understand. And it just, because of my background, it seemed to come naturally. Right. And so through my first few years with Ben at Team Wilson, I would always migrate to those deals. I would always be trying to talk to people that would want to go buy an investment house or to find a long-term rental, or when the short-term rentals came around for Nashville, wanting to know more about that. So that just kind of became a natural fit to my portfolio that I was working on. So we got to the point to where with Team Wilson at the time, it was, do we want to add all of these things to this? Yeah. Or do we want Team Wilson to be able to focus on what they're really, really good at, which is residential listings and sales, and then us go and do something different? Right. And so that's what he and I made the decision of where we would kind of go over here and on the side. We didn't start out to branch away from Team Wilson. We were just kind of going to be under the Team Wilson umbrella and kind of do this on the side over here and give more opportunities and more places that we could serve people with what their desires were for real estate and what their interests were.
So talk about what y'all do. I mean, what do you do at 615 Property Investment? Tell the audience kind of what you guys do, because you guys are doing some big things. Yeah. And have done some big things.
So we're on, as far as technically speaking, we're 2 years old. We opened our doors separate from Team Wilson, but we opened our doors on January 1st of 2022. And we have we're a multifaceted real estate brokerage where if somebody wants to sell their house and list their house to sell, we can help them with that. We can help them go buy a new house to live in, owner occupied. If you are interested in going for the first time to become an investor, to have your first long-term rental, we can help you find that. We also work with a pool of investors through syndication groups where we go out and find multifamily complexes. So we do multifamily sales. We're in the process of developing a commercial division right now.
Wow.
Going into 2024, we've never really had a true commercial with retail and restaurant space and all those things. And so we're developing that right now. So that will be the newest thing for us. And then lastly, we have a property management division where we have a little over 200 doors in the greater Nashville area that we manage for the investors that have bought the single family, duplex, triplex,
Mhm.
quadplex kind of residences for the long-term rentals.
Right.
And so we have that division of our company as well. And that encompasses what 615 Property Investment Group is. We get laughed at a lot because we go by 615 PIG because it makes it easy
Oh,
for
gotcha.
people to
Property Investment
remember.
Group?
Yep,
Okay.
Property Investment Group. And so that's our little moniker. So we spin off of that with everything. We in fact, our first year, our little theme and motto that we did is let us help you bring home the bacon.
Oh, I love
And so
it.
with all the investors, and so we spend a
Bacon.
lot. We spend a lot of that off of that, but it truly is that anybody of any place in real estate, no matter what it is they're wanting to do and venture into in real estate, we truly can offer them everything. And it's a one-stop shop with us. And you don't have a lot of brokerages that will do that around the Middle Tennessee area.
Right,
So,
right. And so, gosh, I mean, a lot of these people come to you, investors, you're getting involved. So the average person can actually kind of help and get, all of a sudden now they're getting expert advice and access to deals that they wouldn't normally get,
absolutely.
right?
For Ben and I, it's really, really important about the relationship. That's what he and I are in this for. It's not that we don't want to just help anybody and everybody, but it's really important for us that we have a sustained relationship with someone. And the reason being is because we're big advocates of the education piece.
Right.
And being a former teacher myself, because that's what I did before, prior to getting into real estate, I was in ministry and taught at a Christian school and was an educator. That's really, really important for me. I want people, and Ben as well, and what makes him and I such a great team is we want to spend the time developing the relationship because we want them to have full understanding of what it takes, because anybody can walk up and say, yeah, I'll do it, and just throw money at it, but they don't always really understand. And we want them to trust us and us trust them enough, but also to have that base knowledge and that really strong understanding of this is the vision, this is where we're going with this, and this is what this could turn into.
Right.
So before you sign on the dotted line and do this, we want to make sure that you understand all the parts and pieces involved to know all the different opportunities that can be out there for you.
Right. So what's coming up that you guys are excited about in the first of the year, first quarter? Anything that's
Well, we just closed on our ninth property overall that we are a part of, our ninth complex around the
okay?
Southeast. We've been actually privileged enough to be able to, we got into the multifamily side of things back in 2019.
Okay.
And so, that's been several years in the making. And we just were able to close on our ninth property. We're always looking for our next opportunity. We love to be able to, our goal is to close one asset a quarter. And so we're in the process right now coming into the first quarter to identify what our next asset would be. We are working on 2 or 3 opportunities, nothing in stone yet, but they're always there. We have a new project here in Nashville that we're working on. That's going to be a new construction project that we're very, very excited about, and there will be a lot more information coming out about that through us and through our investor portal and everything that we have with that coming down the road. We're just in the very, very beginning stages of that, but that's going to be here in the greater Nashville area. And then, of course, I'm in the process because in developing this company, again, saying that we've only been around for 2 years. And so my first 2 years with Ben and I, with our focus was the operational infrastructure piece. You have to get the infrastructure right. You got to get the processes and the procedures correct, or your company will implode. So we focused on that. I'm now focusing on the whole sales division part of it for this coming year. So that's my big focus and my big goal coming into this year is developing the residential part of it, continuing to enhance the investments in the multifamily, and then also developing that commercial piece.
Oh, amazing. So, I didn't want to skip over this, but like the whole weight loss thing was just one huge change you had. You also had another change. You want to talk about that? So
Sure.
tell me about that.
Sure. So, when you start to make some pretty giant decisions in your life, um, the the layers of the onion kind of start getting
Yeah.
peeled back, so to speak. And one of the things that I began to understand is that I had a problem with alcohol, and so and for whatever reason, it just was something that I did not want to continue to be a problem. And so I made some additional drastic decisions where I actually stepped away for a period of time, and I went to rehab to learn about myself and learn why I had that as a problem and why I used that to cope. And came back out of that as well. And now I've been, next week will be 14 months sober
It's awesome, dude.
that I
I
have
love
been.
that.
And
So good.
again, yet another I just promised myself and made the commitment to myself that by the time I turned 50, if I doing all these things, that I was going to be in the best position possible for the second half of my life and for myself, for my wife, for my family, my
So
future
amazing.
grandkids. So
So what could you tell someone out there that's maybe thinking about making some changes? Um, maybe they're thinking about losing some weight, or maybe they've got an addiction or some sort
sure.
of a substance abuse problem. Or what would you say to that person? To knowing what you know now.
The 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 biggest thing that I probably can say is y- you're not in it by yourself.
Mm,
I think that the isolation piece is what keeps those of us that have had to deal with addiction and continue to deal with addiction. The isolation piece is what keeps us there.
mhm,
And when we honestly feel like that nobody else understands, um, puts us in a position to where we won't seek out the help of people that could possibly understand. So that would be the first thing that I would say is that you're not alone. There are so many more people out there that deal with the things that you are dealing with at this moment. And the biggest thing is that it just takes asking for help. I mean, it
mm,
humble yourself. And that's the hardest part
yeah,
because I learned very quickly that until the addict is, and when I say addict, whether that's food, whether that's alcohol, drugs, pornography, it doesn't matter. Whatever someone is addicted to, um, until they want the help themselves, it's not going to happen.
right.
But if you're in that moment of where you're struggling so deeply and so badly that you truly do want the help, then all you've got to do is just literally reach out. And I have no problem as a result of this, you guys putting my contact information out there, because anybody that wants to reach out to me, I've been blessed enough now through my journey over the last year, especially with my alcoholism, was the people that I have met and the
Mm,
connections that I have made to be able to continue to connect people, because I'm not the expert. I mean, I'm early on in my journey, and I'm still learning every single day and getting stronger every single
right,
day, but I've been blessed enough to be connected with people that I can put people with
right,
that do know way more than I do,
right.
and to be able to get them to that position to be able to get the help that they need.
And I'm sure you've been a huge impact to others as well. I mean, just,
I would
that are
hope
coming
so.
along, that are kind of entering into this, new thing, and you're further down. What do they say? Like a teacher just has to be a couple lessons ahead of, the
Yeah.
students, right? And
Yeah.
so, man, just congratulations. I'm just so happy for you. I mean, what an amazing story of just redemption and just overcoming. I mean, just
Thank you.
incredible. And I'm just so happy for you because I know now, I mean, just talking about it, you just feel so much better. I mean, your whole outlook on life is different. And like you said, I mean, your life, you were still successful. That's the thing. I think, it can make it even maybe harder. Like, well, hey, if it's not broken, don't fix it or whatever. But you kind of knew, like,
Yeah.
and then a professional looks at you and says, hey, you're going to be dead in a year if you don't make a change. And
Mhm.
so, and that just like stuck with you, right?
Yeah.
So Well, congratulations, man, and continued success to you. And thanks for coming on. So, guys, if you want to talk to Chad, all of his contact information is below, and he will be glad to connect with you regarding any sort of business related topics. If you weren't looking at investing, or if you're looking at property management, but also, as we talked about, anything to do with weight loss and the procedure that he went through, and also the substance abuse. So alcohol is a big thing out there, and it can get out of hand. And so, as you can see, I mean, Chad, if you can see, Chad has like been an amazing testament to what it can feel like and be when your life completely changes around and you're able to put some of those things in your rearview mirror. So thanks for tuning in again. Talk to you soon. Sorry.